Namo Buddhaya and a very warm welcome, dear Dharma friends, to our Sunday Dharma sharing session under our Dharma lecture series. I'm Brother Eric and I'll be your host for today. We are privileged to have with us Dr. Ravindu Abeywardhana as our speaker for today. Let us now bring Dr. Ravindu Abeywardhana online. So, to Dr. Ravindu Abeywardhana.
Hi, everyone.
Facebook live page. Okay, let me do a short introduction on Dr. Ravindu Abeywardhana. Okay. Dr. Ravindu Abeywardhana is a senior lecturer at the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies at the University of Ruhuna, Sri Lanka. Dr. Ravindu also holds a PhD degree in Buddhist philosophy from the University of Sri Jayewardenepura, MA degree in Buddhist Studies from the Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, University of Kelania, BA Honours in Buddhist Philosophy from the University of Sri Jayewardenepura, and finally Royal Pandit degree, Prachina Avasana Oriental Studies from the Oriental Studies Society of Sri Lanka. Today's topic is entitled Sacha Paramita, the cultivation of truthfulness. With that, we welcome Dr. Ravindu Abeywardhana to deliver today's Dhamma sermon. Doctor.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear Dhamma friends, now we are going to start today's session. Here we will discuss one of the perfections out of the 10. The topic that I given is Sacha Paramita. Sacha Parami. We translate that into English as perfection of truthfulness. I think there are two traditions in Buddhism called Theravada and Mahayana. So here you know that under the Theravada tradition, we pay much attention on 10 perfections, Dasa Paramita. So the first sermon regarding the Dana Parami, the perfection of giving or generosity, under that discussion, I heard that they discuss about the 10 perfections. So here that I am going to not to discuss the all, but out of that, before go to that, discuss about the perfections in Theravada tradition. So, as I mentioned, that as I know that in Mahayana tradition, they pay much attention on perfection. But that number is that the prominent perfection is only 6. But they added 4 more, then it's also become 10. So what I want to tell you, out of that 10 perfections in Mahayana Buddhism, that Sacha Paramita is not in there. But when you go to the Theravada tradition, we can easily find out that the 7th one is named as Sacha Paramita. The argument made by the Mahayana Buddhism is, though that Sacha Paramita, perfection of truthfulness, is not in the category of 10 perfection or that 6 perfections, but it is categorized under the second perfection, which is called as Sila Paramita, perfection of morality or virtuous. So we know that if we pay our attention on the 5 precepts under the Sila, fourth one is Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhyam. We have to abandon from the telling lies. So opposite of the Satya is lie. Then we know how that society, how we can live without telling lies, and what is the importance of truthfulness, practicing that Satya Paramita. So what I want to tell you that when we are paying our attention that the perfection of truthfulness means to tell only what is fair or what is honest. If anyone can be honest, He is one who practicing that perfection. So explaining that perfection is very much easy, but practicing is not that much easy. Then we have to be aware. We have to be careful about that deed. That therefore we have to pay much attention on that truthfulness, perfection. The person who has crossed the cycle of re-becoming is mentioned as the parami. When we paying our attention on the parami, that is Sanskrit paramita, therefore Mahayana Buddhism, their language, their medium is Sanskrit, therefore they use the term paramita. But in Pali, that we use the term parami. So parami means that the person who crossed the cycle of re-becoming. Anyone who practice those perfections, he can easily achieve their final bliss, final goal. So, noble character qualities generally associate with the enlightenment beings, therefore, it is named as perfections paramita. So, the other term, they use parang plus ita. Parang means across, ita means God. So paramita, with that meaning, with that translation, that we can get that idea crossed. So what we are doing through the perfection, you know that whatever we practice to do, then we can easy to do it. For example, think about if you practice anything, sometime maybe the gymnastic or sometime maybe the another sport, whatever you practice from the beginning, when you are when you are schooling, from that place we can easy to do to engage those activities, whatever we practice from the beginning. So Paramita also say what we practice, it is helpful for us to spend our life. You know that regarding the Siddhartha Bodhisattva, he did not practice all 10 in one life. We know he did not practice all 10 perfections in one life. When you're paying our attention about the commentary of Jataka Pali, or Jataka Attakatha, it explains 547 stories, Jataka stories, related to the previous life of the Buddha. How that Bodhisattva practiced those perfections in his life. Therefore, paying our attention on that, we can have an idea regarding the perfection. Therefore, no need to be worried about the practicing 10 perfection in one life, but you can cultivate it up to some extent. You can pay much attention on one perfection in one life. Therefore, today we will discuss on about that regarding the perfection of truthfulness. So, Bhikkhu Bodhi, one of the well-known Buddhist monk in the world, he explained paramita as follows. The word parami derives from parama. The meaning of the term parama is supreme, and thus suggests the eminence of the qualities which must be fulfilled by a bodhisattva in the long course of his spiritual development. But the cognate paramita, the word preference by the Mahayana text and also used Pali writers, is something explained as parang ita, gone to be, gone to the beyond, thereby indicating the transcendental direction these qualities. So, with that explanation, we can have an idea regarding the parami. Then, with a clear idea regarding the parami, I know that you already heard 6 perfections. Then I think you know you have a good idea regarding the perfections. Therefore, I like to move to the truthfulness, perfection of truthfulness. The term Sacha, Sat mean what? reality. There another term in Pali that we use, tatha, or sacha, such, sat. So, with reference to that, it means truth. So, how we practice that truthfulness? It has two sections. One is we have to abandon from telling lies. Not only that, we have to pay our attention on how to practice that truthfulness. You know that in one time, Buddha mentioned that practicing truthfulness is not that much easy. And Buddha mentioned, as the Bodhisattva, though he not abandoned from other precepts, but he himself practiced that truthfulness, the abandoning telling lie is what is practiced without abandoning. So with that explanation, we can have an idea regarding that it is not that much easy to practicing that. Therefore, it is very difficult. So Buddha mentioned we should be able to speak truth even when others don't want to hear it. No need to worry about the others. No need to pay your attention on others. Without paying your attention on others, you have to tell truth. Then and only you can practice that. Truthfulness manifest excellence and honesty and help development of determination. If once a person cheat others by telling an untruth for him, you know that difficult to remove it from their mind. You know that well-known fairy tale that there comes the tiger. I think you may have heard it. There comes the tiger. There is a young boy called Krishna who is always mischief. And one day, you know, that he went to look after that cow, and what he is doing, after climbing up to the tree, he want to mischief the villagers. Then what he did actually, he is screaming, anybody is listen to me, there comes the tiger, please help me, please, please. Like that, he is screaming. Then villagers in that village ran into that side with bringing anything that they can catch as the weapons. Getting those weapons, those that sometimes may be the knife, maybe some sticks, getting those things, and they went to that boy, Krishna. Then he start to laugh. Though they raise question, where is the tiger? Which tiger? Like that. Mischief. So with that example, you know that he did it actually 2-3 days. Then villagers think he is not a truthful one. He always telling lies. He is a liar. So he is a liar. Then they lost their what I call honesty. Therefore, what they do, difficult to remove that view. Then you know one day, though that tigers came to catch those cows, but no one come to help that Krishna. Therefore, we have to be careful. Whenever you tell lies, difficult to remove it from the mind of the people. Therefore, try your level best to practice truthfulness. It will helpful for you. Whatever you tell, they accept. Therefore, be careful about that. So it is clearly mentioned. Therefore, telling truth can be a truthful person. You know that in the society also we have that type of idea. He is the one who is always telling lies, like that view regarding the some person. You know that in the some case, he is a person who always practice, who always try to protect that truthfulness. He is the truthful person, telling like that admire. Then what I want to tell you that in that idea that we have to try to be a truthful person, then and only others trust you. If we are telling lies, others also do not trust us. Therefore, we have to pay our attention. So, keeping that idea in our mind, we have to pay our attention. So many stories related to the cultivation of perfection of truthfulness. So, what I want to tell you that supreme perfection of truthfulness explained so many places. One is actually with reference to the Athasalini commentary of that the Vibhanga, that Athasalini, it clearly mentioned not only that Buddha Vansa, then King Mahasutasoma, how he practiced perfection of truthfulness. He is the one who practiced that the perfection of truthfulness was the supreme perfection. Why? In order to keep his word true, the king went back to the Porisada. Do you know the term Porisada? Porisada is the person who is killing human being and eat the flesh of human being. So that Porisada, you know that Vidura Pandita, Pandita is virtuous one. Being a virtuous one, that Vidura, one of the ministry of the kingdom in India, what he did actually that he know when he back to the person, that the devil, that the yaksha, definitely he will bite. You know that definitely he will catch him and kill him with knowing that, but he wanted to protect the truthfulness. Therefore, he went back to the Porisada as promised at the risk of his own life. That is how we have to practice the truthfulness perfection. So, you know that so many stories, when you paying our attention to the Jataka history, that is one actually. Not only that, in the case of woe, was made in the presence of the Porisada, but as it is was a mere utterance. You know that it is not any memorandum or something other, only utterance, only telling that sentence, utterance only, but he had promised, I will come back. That is how that the virtuous one, that Vidura promised that David. Therefore, he returned even after he had been back in the city of Indapata. So, if you got a chance, that we have no much more time to explain everything in detail, if you got a chance, please go to the Google and search that what is that Vidura Jataka, story of Vidura. Then we can understand how he practiced that the perfection of truthfulness, supreme truthfulness. Not only that, so many places that truthfulness is mentioned in so many places by using several explanations. So what I want to explain under that category, that we can understand the importance of truthfulness, the perfection of truthfulness. Such means keeping one's promise, and is one of the salient characteristics of the Bodhisattva that he mentioned. He act as he speak as he act. It is explained in Pali, Yathavadi Tathakari, Yathakari Tathavadi. Whatever we tell, we practice that. Whatever we practice, that is what we are telling. Not that much easy. We mentioned it is actually that's good quality of the Buddha. That what he practicing is not different what he is telling. Therefore, with that explanation, we can understand who that the Buddha is. You know that Yathavadi Tathakari, well-known stanza, well-known statement, citation that we can understand. You know that one of the story in Jataka Pali, that commentary of Jataka, Harita Jataka, that Bodhisattva, the Buddha mentioned no Bodhisattva during the course of his life to life, wandering even he spoke untruth. You know that he didn't break that practice in that truthfulness, perfection of truthfulness. Though he may at times violate the other precepts, that is what I mentioned earlier. Though he violate other precepts, he makes truth his guide and hold to it firmly. Then we can understand how much it is important. Therefore, we have to pay our attention on the truth. The another story, that story is called as Mahasutasoma Jataka. It is stated that the Bodhisattva even went as far as sacrificing his own life in order to fulfill a promise. He freed 100 warriors, guardians, my truthful speech and forsaking my life. This is the supreme perfection of truth. That is how that Sutasoma practice, that truthfulness. Not only that, Charya Pitaka, that commentary of Charya Pitaka also mention the perfection of truthfulness. That truthfulness means having protect the truth of speech, shunning like excrement, ignoble expressions, harmful to one's life, or having avoided then and having protected the state of being a speaker of the truth. Therefore, we have to be careful whenever we use the words. You know that whatever word that we use, sometimes it may be a blessing for me. Sometimes it may be a poison for me. The word that we use can help me to protect my life. And also the word that I use can help to destroy my life. Because of that, we have to be careful. Whenever we use the words, we have to be careful about that word. So be careful, whatever word that we use. So that is mentioned under the truthfulness. So Vidura Jataka, as I mentioned earlier, Vidura Jataka also explained regarding that story. Not only that, so many stories. Vattaka Jataka, Sama Jataka, there are. You know that Vattaka Jataka, how Bodhisattva practice that truthfulness. And doing that Satyakriya and Sama Jataka also same. Therefore, in Sama Jataka, I will explain that what explained in Sama Jataka actually. So Sama Jataka, in that Sama Jataka, you know that the young boy called that Sama, Prince Sama, he is always helping others, not only his blind parent, but also the animals in the forest, and they were in the forest. He always helping others. One day, the king who went to the hunting deers and he sent the poison arrow to the deer, but that arrow comes to the prince Sama. He, you know, that unconscious because of that poison arrow. So, as a result of that Satya Kriya, that what we can call it as that normally whatever that we have to that a Solomon declaration of truth is mentioned as Satya Kriya. You know that is that express in ritual speech. For example, in chanting Pirit, we use that. It can be an utterance with regard to one's own virtue. Sometimes maybe that that solemn declaration of truth related to the myself. Sometimes it may be related to the with regard to the certain fact, followed by a commanded or resolutions. Therefore, with that explanation, we can have an idea regarding that point. Therefore, we have an idea regarding that Satya Kriya. What that parents, that the blind parents of Prince Sama did, they did that Satya Kriya in front of their child. So, as a result of that, that Prince Sama was able to alive again. He was able to alive again. Therefore, we can understand how they practice that truthfulness. Whenever we practice that, we can use it as a bliss. Therefore, with that idea, we know that as we know it. Not only that, when we are paying our attention on the one of the sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, it is called as Ambalattika Rahulovada Sutta. Or short form we use Rahulovada Sutta. You know that Rahula, that Prince Rahula is the son of Bodhisattva Siddhartha and Yasodhara. When that Prince Rahula, after entering ordination, he was in the Ambalatte, that there is a mango grove. So, what Buddha asking that when he come to the nervous monk Rahula, he was staying at the mango store. So what he did actually, the blessed one sat down on the seat. What he did actually, by using that water, he put to wash his that legs of the Buddha. Then what actually he did? So here we can find out. Rahula saw him coming from afar, and on seeing him, set out seat and water for washing the feet. To washing the feet, the blessed one sat down on the seat, set out, and having sat down, washed his feet. When Rahula, bowing down to the blessed one, sat on one side. So, with that, so to explain, then blessed one, that Buddha, having left a little bit of water in the water dipper, he raised a question. When Rahula, do you see this little bit of leftover water remaining in the water dipper? Did you see? Then that nervous monk Rahula, Venerable Rahula, replied, yes, dear sir, Venerable sir. That is how little of contemplating there is in anyone who feels no shame at telling a deliberate lie. Anyone who telling lies, their monkhood is also only a small amount. They are not practicing their monkhood in well. Then again, what Buddha did, then having tossed away the little bit of leftover water, then again raise a question. Rahula, do you see how this little bit of leftover water is tossed away? Then, yes, sir. He replied, yes, sir. Rahula, whatever there is of a contemplative in anyone who feels no shame at telling a deliberate lie is tossed away just like that. Monkhood also, no monkhood further who is telling deliberate lie. Not only that, he again do another activity. Having turned the water dipper upside down, the blessed one said, Rahula, Do you see how this water dipper is turned upside down? Yes, sir, I saw. Then Buddha mentioned, Rahula, whatever there is of a contemplative in anyone who feel no shame at telling a deliberate lie is turned upside down just like that. Therefore, no more monkhood. Like that, by using so many similes, by using so many activities, Buddha explained how much important that practicing, the cultivating the perfection of truthfulness. Therefore, always Buddha advised him, do not tell lies. So normally, if we famous or popular as famous as that actually that popular as liar, then others will not accept whatever we tell. Therefore, we have to be careful. So, in your life, what we can do regarding the practicing or cultivating perfection of truthfulness, what type of activity that you can do when we telling lies? You know that sometimes we tell lies. How I did some activities, but I don't like to tell others, then I am telling lies. Sometimes I didn't do what I asked to do, but we are telling lies as I did. Therefore, we can have an idea. Whatever we did, we say, I didn't. Or whatever I didn't do, I said it is as I did. Whatever I didn't tell, I say it is as told. Whatever I didn't told, I said it is as told. So therefore, with that explanation, we can understand how we can practice the truthfulness. Whenever we practice, sometimes maybe the telling lie that that the good example is in Jataka stories. Sometimes telling truth, it may be occurred some issues. Sometimes maybe that killing or destroying your life, end up your life. But without thinking on that, whatever we promise, whatever we practice, that we have to tell truth. Whenever we will tell truth, then and only we can dispense a good life. So practice. So think about that. How that Siddhartha Bodhisattva in his life practiced that truthfulness. So here we have no much more time, but I like to explain up to some extent regarding the truth according to the Buddhism. You know, Prince Siddhartha, who was ready to renounce from the household life. He is asking few questions from the father. Father, King Suddhodana wanted to keep him in household life and make him as a emperor, or sometime maybe the universal monarch. With the idea of that, with the purpose of that, he always tried to keep that Prince Siddhartha in household life. You know, but seeing that the reality of the world with the ornament that with that Satara Piraniti, which we mention as a Satara Piranimiti, that the normal nature of the human being, what are they? Aging, decaying, death. Seeing that, he understood the reality of the world and he wanted to renounce for what? To realize how to live without aging, how to live without decay, how to live without disease, how to live without dying. Keeping that questions in his mind, he renounced from the household life to see the reality. You know that regarding the time, each and everyone who met the others, what they asking, King Satchakavesi, did you find out the truth? King Kusalakavesi, did you find out the wholesome? Like that, they are questions. You know that in these days, we always raising question. What about the situation of COVID-19? Like that. Always we are the current issues, social issues we are discussing our day-to-day life. But here, what the people who was in the during the time of the Buddha. So you know that in the 6th century BC in India, whenever they met others, they are asking King Sacha, what is the truth? Did you find out the truth? Like that. Then we can understand truth mean what. That is why that Prince Siddhartha renounced and become an ascetic Siddhartha and practicing self mortification, and he understood practicing that self mortification he would not be able to attain his aim, his final goal, enlightenment. Then he give up that self mortification, and again he spent his life with the foods, and finally he was able to attain final bliss, enlightenment. Then what I want to tell you, he is always searching reality of the world. According to the Buddha, what is the reality? To explain the reality, you know that in Buddhism they use two methods actually. One is Sammutideshana, conventional language or conventional truth. The other one is Paramatta Deshana, absolute language or absolute truth. Why Buddha use those two type of truths? Though you know that ekang is satyang dutiyamati, that is how Buddha mentioned. If it is true, it has no second. Only one truth is in the world. Though Buddha mentioned in that, but there is a two type of truth. Two truths. What are they? Conventional truth and absolute truth. Why? You know that without conventional world, it is not easy to understand the absolute world. So, for example, according to the absolute truth, I am not a Ravindu Abeywardhana. Then who I am? I am a collection of five aggregates. Then it is very difficult to identify the others. No names like Ravindu or anything else like. So, with that idea, we can have an idea, you know that. With that purpose, we can understand that they use two type of truth. Using the conventional language, Buddha preached the Dhamma, and using the absolute language, that absolute truth, we can understand the reality. For example, when we go to the Abhidhamma clearly mentioned using the absolute truth. In Abhidhamma, Chitta Chetasika Rupa Nibbana, no human being, no the other one, no any world. So with those explanations, we can have an idea regarding those two truths. Then I'm not paying much attention, but you explain you that you know that Four Noble Truth is the most important teaching of the Buddha. What is the fundamental teaching of the Buddha? Sometimes you may think it is as Four Noble Truth. No. Then you may have raised question, why Buddha preach Four Noble Truth at the beginning, that his very first preach of the Buddha, that Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta? You know, through the dependent origination of Paticca Samuppada only, we can understand, we can identify, we can aware, we can obtain that, have an idea regarding the Four Noble Truth. Therefore, we have to pay our attention on the Four Noble Truth. Though there is a four, actually one and only truth is suffering, dukkha. I'm not that much like to use the term suffering. The sound of the suffering is not enough to explain the term dukkha used in Pali. Anyhow, we use the term suffering. I prefer to say use the term suffering, dukkha. The dukkha is the reality. What is that? Jatipi dukkha, jarapi dukkha, like that mentioned, aging. So birth is suffering, aging is suffering, that illnesses also suffering, death is suffering. So accompanied with that unhappy things and unhappy beings departed from the happy and that happy beings and the happy uh, that the goods. Therefore, with that explanation, we can understand what is that dukkha. So, first noble truth is that the suffering that dukkha leading the dukkha, noble truth of dukkha, suffering. The second one, cause. Cause means that the reason, samudaya, that Pali term that we use, samudaya. Then the third one, cessation of dukkha or cessation of suffering. Then the last one, the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Then we can understand, though there are four truth, four noble truth, but it is one and only reality is dukkha, suffering. We do everything to renounce from that suffering, that dukkha. Therefore, under that truth also we can understand. So to realize that reality, we have to practice perfections. Out of that perfections, that we can have an idea regarding the cultivation of the perfection of truthfulness. How we practice in our day-to-day life. Whenever you got a chance, without thinking about the result, whenever you got a chance, say the truth. It not be that much easy for you, but I know that most of the people who are practicing that truthfulness, not that much easy if we are ready to do that. If we, as a habitual action, if we do that, it is not that much difficult to practice. So anyone who, that as a habit they telling lies, then others also always, it is normal. It becomes normal habit. It becomes a habit. Then we always doing that. Therefore, keep that idea in your mind. Maybe in the court, maybe in front of the police officer, maybe in front of the doctor or medical officer, maybe in front of the higher people in your, it means hierarchy in your, maybe the office or your company, wherever, without paying attention about the results after the telling truth, without thinking on that, tell the truth. Think about, if I am telling lies, we have to keep those lies in my mind. For example, if I said, Brother Eric, if I said, I am 30-year old, then I have to keep it in my mind. Whenever I discuss, when I talk with the Brother Eric, I have to keep that answer in my mind. Why? I tell lies. I told that lies. Therefore, if we are telling truth, no that type of difficult. If we are telling truth, wherever we can speak, wherever we can make connection with others, no any problem, no any lies in my life. Therefore, try your level best to bring that truthfulness into your life. It helpful for your this life, not only this life, but also the life after the death, re-becoming. So we're practicing that truthfulness. You can be a honest one in this life itself, and also you can become a good being after the death. Therefore, try your level best to practice what we are called it is as perfection of truthfulness. So here that that my idea, my purpose of sharing this knowledge is to not to asking you to practice that perfection of truthfulness, but try your level best to practice that truthfulness in your life. It may bring so many benefits for your life. Therefore, pay your attention on that. And I think that type that I have given is end. So, therefore, try to keep our idea and try to understand that point. Then I think it is known as the universal truth. What is this universal truth and how it can benefit us? Thank you. Okay, so that question is why that Buddhism is mentioned as universal truth. You know, normally that the nature of the world is same though the Buddha is appeared in the world or not. So, what the beauty of the Buddha is understanding the nature of the world and explain to the human beings in the world, this is the nature. So, that universal truth is, as I mentioned earlier, that the universal truth mean normal that we can understand. Universal truth mean that the Buddhist teaching, central teaching of Buddhism is the Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination. That is the truth. So, I explained regarding the Four Noble Truth also. In the very first sutta preached by the Buddha, Buddha explained Four Noble Truth. But what they realize, they means five ascetics. What they realize dependent origination. So that is the universal truth. You know that avidya pachya sankhara, like that mentioned, because of that ignorance, sankhara arise, mental formation arise. Like that explain step by step that the universal truth is dependent arising. No one can change. Even the Buddha also cannot change. So it means it is not the deterministic view, it is not a determination. But what I want to tell you, through that, we can understand that universal truth, it has two sections. One section is that samudaya, arising, and the other one is cessation. In dependent origination also two sections. One section samudaya, the other one is cessation. Therefore, with that idea, we can have actually that we can understand that the situation. So, the universal truth is that everything arises with cause and effect. So, that causal theory is the universal truth. That is what preached by the Buddha. Not, you know, that truth is in the world everywhere, every time, but disappear when again Buddha came into the world and will explain that reality. That is the universal truth. Thank you. Doctor, in the Jataka, some stories seems to imply we need to go the extreme to attain the highest paramitas, Sacha parami, including the sacrificing own life. Does this practice go against the middle path, practice of moderation? Okay, so what I want to tell you that perfection we divided into three: parami, upaparami, and paramatta parami. So many explanations were given by the previous lecturers, previous speakers regarding those three categories. That is why I did not pay much attention on those three categories. So what I want to tell you that third one, paramatta parami, we have to sacrifice our life to protect the perfection of truthfulness. That is Paramatta Parami. So, by practicing that, we can have an idea regarding the how we can enter to the that one. So, here, what I want to tell you that you are asking related to the middle path also, that under the middle path that we pay much attention on three. What are they? That middle path means the other term is noble eightfold path. The another term is three characteristics. So what we call it is as Trishiksha, three Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Practicing those sila, samadhi, and panya, one can attain that enlightenment. So, under the sila, truthfulness is there. Under the sila, truthfulness is there. So, anyone who practice that sila, that he controlling his body and the words, verbally and bodily, he control his body. So, with that explanation, we can have an idea regarding that. It means through the truthfulness, that the perfection of truthfulness, we can achieve that final goal. So, it is important with that idea. There are many politicians who speak one thing but do the opposite. They ask people to abide the rules, but they themselves are corrupted and crisis in their professional lives. Okay, then cultivate good merits in order to be reborn as a spirit. Present life have they. So, what I want to tell you, whenever no need to pay about your attention on the others. So, whatever we earn in this life will come to our life in this life as well as the future lives. Therefore, that what they are telling actually, that politician, regarding the politicians, that they think they are the supreme. That type of view was during the time of the Buddha also. Most of the Shastriya, that the caste called Shastriya, that the ruling caste, that always they think they are supreme. They can do whatever they want. Without practicing that, they try to explain. So, in that political situation, I have no idea regarding in your country, but in my country also same. What they are doing actually, they are telling so many lies, but no any practice. That is why I mentioned that Buddha who practice yathavadi tathakari, yathakari tathavadi. Whatever we tell, we have to practice it. Whatever we practice, we have to tell it. So we are not practicing but ask others to practice it. It is not that much good. So we have to be careful. Whenever we are telling others, try our level best to practice it first. You know that the first of all, we have to practice it. Then we will explain others. Ask them to practice. That no need to pay about much attention on the politicians. By telling truth, if the truth causes harm to others, to the person telling truth to extent, what to do? I will. So yes. So the answer is we have to pay our attention about the answer. So, though I mentioned at the earlier that one mistake is there, you know that well-known story regarding the Queen Kosala Mallika. She is well-known and did so many meritorious activities in her life, but she was unable to. That she after her death, she was born in the hell. Then King Kosala, husband of the Queen Kosala Mallika, asking where my wife, my queen, is born. Buddha did not answer. Why? The answer is, if Buddha answered positively, that it means she was born in hell, that King Kosala is not that much erudite and he will give up everything related to the Buddhism. Buddha did not answer in that question. Why? That answer make harmful to others. But try our level best. You know that Sampajana Musavad. You know that whatever we are telling is not harm to others. Then we can tell the truth. So with telling truth, it makes some harmful to others. We have to keep that idea in our mind, and we can use some points. For example, in my life also, what we are practicing that sometime We said, for example, think about our children. We ask them to come by the time. It means without wasting. Don't do that. If you do that type of thing, I will hit you. I will punish you. Something like that. Though we say so, we are not doing. Why? By using it is as samprajana musar. So normally that we are using that, though we say so, we are not practicing it. Why? It make harmful to them. Therefore, we can tell that type of utterance, that type of states. Okay, thank you. If telling lies serves life of a being and telling truth causes leads to danger of the life of the other beings, what to do? Is nothing saving life of the others. So whenever you know that the dharmika, the term dharmika, according to the Dhamma, what they explain actually, any place, any time, we have to be careful about the results, benefits. If something, if whatever we do, it makes harmful to others, then Buddha asks us to not to do that type of activities. It is harmful for me. In that case, also not to do that type of activities for yourself. So it is harmful for yourself as well as the others. Don't do such type of attavyabadaya samvattati, paravyabadaya samvattati, ubhavyabadaya samvattati, like that mentioned. We have to pay our attention on that paying our attention whenever we have to practice. So without telling lies, we can, the good question is there actually, that one story related to the king uh, Dutugamun in Sri Lanka. In history chronicle, Mahavansa explain about him knowing his brother Tissa is in the temple, that he asking the question from the chief incumbent of that temple, that he is an arahant. Then King Dutugamunu asking where my brother is. The answer is that his brother is under the bed. But what he said, that the chief incumbent said, he is not on the bed. He is not on the bed. It means he didn't tell lies, but he didn't tell truth. That is how we can answer. So think about the results, benefits or results after telling truth or lies. Then it has no any idea to harm others. Then it is okay. He is telling white lie, considering breaking precepts. What if the white lie has good intention? So here, what I want to tell you, that when we are paying our attention on that fact, it is not a problem. So that lie is actually, when we are telling lies, it is making any issue or a problem for others, then and only we have to pay our attention on that fact. Otherwise, no need to be worried about those things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. That's about all the questions we have for today. Thanks for the excellent reply and answer from our speaker, Dr. Ravindu, and the equally good questions posted by our audiences. Okay. So before we conclude, we would like to invite Dr. Ravindu to share the marriage circuit today with all the devas and our departed loved ones. Doctor?
Shall we share the merits that we earn, all the devas and the departed beings, by uttering those two stanzas? ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ශාසනං ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු දේශනං ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු මං පරං ඉදම්මේ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ.
Now we have come to the end of our Dhamma sharing. On behalf of Buddhist Mahavihara, we would like to take this opportunity to extend our highest thanks to Dr. Ravindu Abeywardhana and also to our generous sponsors and to all our dedicated audiences. May all be blessed by the Noble Triple J. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.